The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and it is Friday Eve, aka Thursday. Jackie, how are you feeling this morning?
Ava.
I'm like, wait, she paused for a really long time. Like, did something major happen last night that I missed?
I woke up feeling great, but I felt so good that I didn't want to leave my bed. I'm just like, ah.
And it's like chilly in the air in the morning. So it's like if your bed and your space is really warm, it's like, okay, the decision to get out of bed is even harder now. Totally get that. That's how I felt.
I was like, I kind of wish I had a laptop because I want to do this from my bed. It was just so cozy because I had left my window slightly open, so I had that slight morning winter breeze, and I was like, oh, it just feels so fresh and crisp, and I want to stay here.
I totally get that. I felt the exact same.
Got up for you guys. That's
we
love.
Definitely do. It's real love. Like, it's definitely real love. Shout out to everyone that is tuned in with us. She always has to find she finds a music break in any point. If the lyric, if the title of the song, I say it, she's just off on a tangent. And we love her for that. You know, songtime with Jackie is definitely going to come up. You know, it's probably going to be a special. We're going to do like a special where she just does a feel good vibe, that is a song time.
Christmas music.
Ooh, she said it, y'all, not me. But we're going to make it happen. So let's get started with today's episode. Our feel-good topic of the day, we're actually going to be talking about millennial burnout. Jackie and I are both millennials, and we're going to be discussing some of the reasons why millennials in particular experience burnout from their work. And if you want to test your knowledge, your trivia knowledge against Jackie, make sure you stick around for our feel-good vibe of the day, which is Trivia Time with Terri. It's a guess who, so I'm going to be sharing some celebrity fun facts, and hopefully you can guess before Jackie, but if not, it's all in the name of fun. Before we get into that, though, let's discuss our school system and let's specifically focus on the appearance code. And I'll put air quotes around appearance because it's not just about the dress. It is also about the hair. And so on social media, there has been a bit of a story. It's gone viral, I guess, in Bermuda's context. That just means everyone has forwarded it on WhatsApp or Facebook.
Forward many times.
You see the forward many times, you've seen the picture. But so there's a young man, who goes to Whitney, and his hair is dyed. And the administration at the school sent him home, and there is a bit of unease on the island as it relates to that particular issue. And so we want to know, what should our school administration be focused on? Like, should they be focused on the appearance of the student, or should they be more focused on the education that they're providing to the student? Jackie, have you had an experience at, any school in particular, or that you can remember, very related to your appearance? Like, were you ever sent home for your appearance? Was something like out of the norm that they kind of pointed out to you? Like, share your experience.
I got in trouble a lot at Berkeley for my appearance.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Jackie's an expert.
Believe it or not. As one, we had gym, and we used to get changed in the gymnasium, leave our clothes and go. One day it was swimming, and we left our clothes there. I came back, we did the shower, did everything, and I went with my blazer on, and I had no blazer. Luckily, I used to wear jewelry, but I used to take it off, when I got to school, because it wasn't a part of the uniform. Obviously, sometimes you'd have to remind me, Jack, I can see your chain, or Jack, don't forget to take your ring off. And I'd be like, ooh, switch out certain things. But I got sent home because my blazer got stolen, and they replaced it with a different blazer that didn't have a crest, that was too big for me. And so they sent me home, and I was just like, but my property that was fitted for me, like I went to English Sports Shop, got it all sorted out. They helped me put my crest on, all that good jazz. Like, I was super excited for my first day in my winter uniform. And the second day of my winter uniform, I got sent home because the blazer that they replaced my blazer with wasn't up to their standard. And my tie got stolen. So my nice long tie, because I like long ties, because I like to have a certain size
the knot.
Yeah. They gave me a short one, so my knot was the same size, but my tie barely hit my belly button, and I used to get in trouble for that too. And I'm like, this is you lot stuff that you replaced with my stolen stuff property that you guys apparently were supposed to lock and protect. So I'm getting penalized because you lot short comments. And then, of course, I used to, summertime, naturally my hair goes blonde, so the damaged hair was super blonde, and it would look like highlights, and they'd be like, that's not your natural color. And I was just like, you're right, the sun did it, but the sun's nature. And like, I don't know how to get around these. Like, you mean dye my hair a natural color, even though my natural color in the summer is like a blonde and rusty color? So yeah, I got sent him a few times.
Clearly.
And I was just like, but my education, like, so you're gonna make me skip school or miss school because, okay.
Right. So I definitely want to get the audience to chime in, because it's really interesting that you had that many experiences. I didn't have as many experiences as Jacky when it comes to that, because I was raised 7 day, and so jewelry wasn't really a big thing. So I didn't really have, I didn't have that much jewelry anyway. So it wasn't like I had, the adornment.
I never got sent him for wearing the jewelry. I was corrected for it.
That's interesting, because one would think you would either get sent home for the jewelry or they would confiscate it, because if they see it and it's technically a violation, they should, take it away. But I do remember one incident where Boyles was out of school shoes. Like, they didn't have any more school shoes. All they had was a specific set of shoes left. They weren't the like appropriate or approved school shoes. So, your parents send you to Boyles with money, and this is all Boyles hair, so you got these school shoes. I remember I want to say it was S3, and I came to Berkeley, we did the whole like check-in, get your schedule, blah, blah, blah. And the deputy principal sent a good slew of us home because we didn't have the right school shoes, and my mama wasn't hearing that. She called that school and was like, this is all Boyles hair, so like, I don't understand why you're sending them home. Her feet don't hurt. Like, it's not like, and if her feet hurt, that's a me and her problem. That's not a school problem. So being sent home for my schools was probably the one experience where I was just like, this is dumb. Like, of all the things that you could focus on, my school shoes is where you're like trying to like exert your power or like show your authority over me. And it was definitely, that's for me when I realized, oh, these are dumb.
Yeah, I forgot about these school shoes. I got pulled out of class because my sole was too thin, and then I got pulled out of class because my skirt was too long. And I was just like,
that's interesting.
So you're mad because I'm covering myself up.
And yeah, so if you went to the primary school that I went to, BI, there was a length that you had to have, like your skirt couldn't be above your knee too high. Obviously, the longer it is, that's fine.
It wasn't that much longer than my knee. It was literally just below my knee. There was still space between my socks that it looked appropriate, but I just wanted a longer skirt, especially around the time where the boys used to put their the mirrors on their shoes and try and like put on a girl's skirt. I used to make sure that, and I used to wear shorts underneath as well. So I just switched to shorts. I was like, okay, do these work?
But that is a really weird infraction. Like, it's too long. Like, if you want to wear Mormon length skirt, then by all means, wear your Mormon length skirt. Like, that's a weird violation. We do have some comments that I want to bring in. So Sean Smith says, when I was in high school, males could not wear earrings nor have plaits. Now that's interesting because the earring thing, I remember like some guys would like turn it around, like where it was like the earrings in the back. And so the earring back was in the front. They would have like the what is it, rubbers. So like you can kind of pretend, I guess, but it's like we know it's earring starts. Why do you have that eraser in your
You
ear?
weren't allowed to wear like diamond or the cubic zirconia. You were only allowed to wear the
Gold
stud,
studs.
the gold studs, gold or silver studs, and that was fine with me. That's what I still wear. I don't mind that. The plaits thing, I understand, like I get it, because a lot of people, they didn't have the time to manage the braids for the guys over and over again, and if they would throw, sometimes they'll get out of hand. But the same for girls as well. Like there were times where I'm just like, I don't feel like doing my hair, and it'll be up in a messy bun or done in a messy bun, and I get it. Be presentable. A certain standard that you want to carry for your school, because you want to be able to say, I'm at Berkeley and this is how we carry ourselves. So I get that, and that's how you want to carry yourself through life. But coming back to the young boy, I like looking at the picture, his braids, his plaits look very neat. I don't know how often the mom does it, but they look presentable.
Just keeping up with them. So when I come
That's
back
work
to
on
the
her,
comment,
but she's doing it. So
exactly. So Michael Anthony Musson says if they took away jewelry, I'm sure they would have parental issues, and that's true, right? I mean,
it depends on the parent, because my mom will be like, "But you know, you're not supposed to wear jewelry. So if they tell you you're not going to get it back, that's a lesson learned for you."
Right.
Or go and apologize, do whatever they ask you to do, and get your stuff back. But I would literally forget, and I'm rushing up the heel like, it's not coming off.
The one day my finger wants to be swollen. The one day.
It's usually Mondays, because you know you're worn all weekend, and I keep it on, especially like summertime. So you're coming back from summer break, and you're just like,
yeah, it's
been on all this time. Yeah.
So I want to come to this comment from Karen Simmons, because she's given us a different perspective. She says, my contacts as a former teacher, when students are informed of expectations and you do the opposite deliberately, then consequences take place. However, education of young people should be key. And that's kind of what it is when we talk about like the administration's focus, because it does come across, because I have seen instances where girls can't wear certain colors on their nails. You know, you can't have certain hair pieces. You can't have certain hair colors in your hair for women specifically, and now it's trickled to the boys. I don't remember it being a thing of boys dyeing their hair as much back when we were, not to say that they didn't, but it wasn't like that big of a thing. Whereas I see a lot of young kids today doing the hair dyeing, and so I get why, like, you know, it may have become a thing now for the younger generation, but it definitely feels like the focus is really on the appearance of the Eurocentric style of what a Black person looks like. And it's kind of like, in a majority Black country, and where majority of the administration is Black, the fact that you're pushing this appearance could only further creates, you know, this struggle between, you know, the still rebel youth and the old school
I think it's only public schools of a certain age that do it, because I have some kids, and I just worked with them yesterday, and the tips of her hair are like a deep bluish green. And when she first came, I was just like, school's back in, right? And she's just like, yeah. And I was just like, but your hair is green. And she's just like, right? And I'm like, but that's not natural color. You have 3 piercings. Like, what is happening at your school? And she's just, we get to do what we want to do. But I have great grades, and I got my schoolwork done, and I don't cause any problems. And so most times, if you're that student, you get like a pass. So I'm just like, so I guess it depends.
That's very interesting. And so I want to come to this comment from Michael Anthony, because I do want to dive in a little bit deeper to that, and probably have to be a future episode. But Michael says, your feet are an essential part of your education. You can't learn without specific shoes, and I'm assuming. And, you know, it is the facetiousness of that comment that made me think like, well, I'm definitely calling my mom for this one. Because normally I don't call my mom when I have, like, when I was in school, I didn't really call my mom for certain things, because 9 times out of 10 it was something that I would have to address anyway, as it relates to my school. But that one specifically, I was like, oh yeah, I'm turning my mom up on this one, because this is dumb. Like, it's Black. They were Black or brown. Like, they were the right color shoes. Yeah. Like, everything about them was okay. It just wasn't the platform, like you mentioned, the heel not being a certain length and blah, blah, blah.
2 inches or something like that. And then your skirt has to be 2 inches above your knee. And I'm like, can't get it right here. Yeah, I had to get it. My dad, I remember showing up to Albert. My dad's just like, is everything all right? Are you feeling sick? I'm like, they sent me him. He's just like, why? And I was just like, because my blazer's too big. And like, I started listing it. And he was just like, oh, and that was the other thing. Remember, we used to have the IDs?
Yes.
My ID was in my blazer and they didn't replace it. So when I didn't have my ID, they would threaten to send me home. And I'm just like, so you guys don't like me? Is that the deep-rootedness of this situation? Because I say good morning. Sometimes I bring you guys breakfast. I have decent grades. I represent the country.
I'm not a stranger. Like,
I do every sport. Like, hi.
I'm trying to get educated here. I just want to go to class. Just want to go.
I remember one time they put me on the stage, and it's just like they called people. I'm like, ooh, I must get an award, and it's just like, this is an example, and I was just like, oh, this is not gonna go well. This is not gonna go well for you. So I remember saying, just to let you know that this is the blazer you replaced with, and Mrs. Kabizi was just like,
oops.
So this was
so
fun.
Let's take a quick commercial break, and then we'll actually come back to this topic before we transition to our feel-good topic of the day. So make sure you don't go anywhere, because Jackie and I have more to discuss with you.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you're just joining us, our Feel Good warm-up, we are talking about school administration and what their focus should be. And we definitely have a few more comments that we want to get to before we talk about our Feel Good topic of the day. And so I want to bring in this comment from Janae, because she mentioned how she would throw a Band-Aid over the top of an earring. And I do remember seeing a lot of boys, like, you know, with the little Band-Aid on their ear. And at first I used to think like, oh, did something happen to their ear? Like, I'm so naive. I didn't really understand what they were doing. I was like, oh yes, you do have an earring, because they, you know, right after school, the Band-Aid comes
back
off
in.
and you see the earring. I'm like, oh right. And then, like, you know, when you talk about getting your ear pierced, you know, if you don't have anything in it, the hood closes. And so I do remember a lot of guys not wanting to take out their earring because they didn't want the hood to close, etc., etc.
I used to accessorize my tie with it.
Yes. I even remember seeing a lot of people do that. Definitely seeing that. And so, Jack, this comment from Sean Smith.
Yes, I don't know if they're still doing, they probably do it with cell phones now. But no, they used to do that with it. They used to like huddle behind you, and one boy they used to pretend to be skylarking and they slip their foot, and then you like
be all confused. But for those of you that are just listening, not looking at the screen, Sean Smith said, wow, boys were still putting mirrors on their shoes when you were in school, Jack. So yes, the boys were still doing that. I wonder if the boys are still doing that today. I don't.
Like I said, they're probably using cell phones.
Oh yes, they are probably using cell phones. So another comment from Janae, Jack.
I remember those with dreadlocks had to wear turbans. Yup. Like, why, if that's how your hair is naturally growing out of your head? I agree. I remember being in Sands, and one of my friends, they called him to the office because even during gym, he had to wear it was like a white one, head wrap, and he had to do that. And then after school, he'd release him. And I'll be like, wow, why can't you wear your hair like that? Like, just naturally, because I can. Why can't you? Yeah. And it was neat, like super presentable, all the way down his back. Beautiful. I am such a huge fan of dreadlocks, if you can't tell. I sent Terri, I'm like, Terri, look at this.
We do love diamond locks over here. We do.
Yes, we do. I still don't understand that rule, because it's beautiful, it's natural, and most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it's super tidy. It's more tidy than mine.
Yeah, and I mean, because you have to upkeep locks, one, but then two, it's a hairstyle. So if you're gonna ban hairstyles, basically you want everyone to be bold, if that's the case, because picking one particular hairstyle, which in some families is connected to a religion, is an attack on their belief. And so it starts to bring in other parts of the conversation when we're supposed to be focused on education, which is what this comment from Sean Smith talks about. He says, school is there to prepare you for the workplace, but times have changed regarding your hairstyle and what you wear in the workplace. And that's it, because like I have somewhat messy locks most of the time. And I remember when I worked at Spelman, when I first shaved my sides, I would put purple dye. I put purple dye in my hair one time, and everyone loved it. Like, and so for those that don't know, I went to Spelman College. It's a historically Black college and university in the city of Atlanta, but it's an all-female school. And so it is one of those spaces where you typically would assume that there is, like, more, I guess, restrictions and guidelines on like how you appear as a Black woman, right? Because you're going into spaces where you're probably not going to be the majority. And the celebration of individuality was the best thing about that school. So definitely shout outs to Spelman for helping me with that. And I want to come to this comment from Michael Anthony, Jack.
My stepdaughter knows which one of us to call call to deal with certain situations. She knows who will turn up for what cause. Yeah, and that's why my niece always tells me after the situation.
She know what Auntie Jackie coming.
Yeah, because she's just like, she knows. I mean, it's not going to be a turn up. I just want to understand why you're putting because I've been pulled out of class where I'm knee deep in my work and I'm like cruising, and you're pulling me out, and now you're going to catch an attitude, because it's not like you're pulling me out for an emergency. It's like, all right, Jack, so we have to pull you. Do you know why you've been pulled out of class? No, that's why I'm looking at you like this. And it's just like, well, your tie's too short. And I'm like, my uniform? You're pulling me out of learning. You're like putting my grade on the line.
Yeah.
For clothing. Do you know that some people go to homeschool and they do it in the pajamas and they're getting straight A's? And you're sitting here to tell me that because my tie isn't long enough that I have to go to the office, and that's a strike against my name that could potentially put me not in school suspension, but suspension and potentially expel me?
Yeah.
Get it together.
Jackie was
I'm going back in class. I'm going back inside. You could send a letter to my parents. Let them deal with it. I'm going to deal with my education and my schoolwork, and you call my parents and deal with that, because I don't buy my tie or my uniform. Go call them. I'm going back to class. And then they just look
Power
at you.
to Jackie back in the day, because Jackie was just clearly a soul rebel. She was going against the system back then. And so I want to come to this comment from Karen Simmons as we wrap up. She says, students who didn't want their air hose to close, they used to put a piece of broom in the hole. Wow, so unsanitary. They absolutely used to do that. They absolutely used to do that. And I used to be like,
or toothpicks.
And it used to be one of those moments like, okay, sir, can you just like wash it? Like, do you mind just go to the bathroom real quick? Wash it out, make sure there's no dirt in it, because the likelihood of you infecting the hole that you now have in your ear is definitely going to not allow you to put a regular earring in there, let alone anything else to keep it from closing. And one final comment from Janae, Jack.
I mean, the amount of money parents spend on uniforms, especially switching from winter to summer, is just not that serious for a short tie. I agree. And I think it's more so the story behind it that used to irritate me the most, because I'm just like, it's your tie. It's your blazer. My stuff got stolen. I'm not spending more money. Do you know how much blazers cost back in the day?
Do you know how much blazers cost
now? Right. So I don't know how much they cost now because I'm not in school. But they used to be like $150 back in the day. And that's not including the crest that you had to buy. I think I used to have to buy the replacement from the school or something like that.
A lot.
No.
It was definitely a lot. Now, Jackie and I I know personally, I do think that our school administrators should be focused more on the education side of it, with the acknowledgement that, yes, you should be presentable to come to school. Now, whatever the presentation guidelines are, I don't feel like it should be so focused on the nuances of hair color, nail color, how many earrings you have in. I definitely do think you should have an iron shirt if you can. If you don't feel like ironing it, throw a sweater on top of that thing, because we used to do that. Like, make sure your shirt is tucked in. Like, there are some things like, yes, I make sure your pants are not hanging below your bottom if you're a guy. And even if you're a girl, if you got a belt on, make sure, if your pants don't fit, like, if you can't afford a tailor, get a tailor. There's someone in your family that can probably help you out with that. I definitely think that there are certain, general guidelines, but when we start getting into the individuality of the person, it starts to become like, all right, this is like a personal attack on the person, not necessarily you focus so much on their education specifically.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears a bit though, Jackson, because we want to talk about why millennials are burnt out. Because the millennial generation is the hustle generation. We are definitely the team no sleep generation. We are the generation that does a lot more than previous generations from a perspective of we have a generation that's currently raising children and probably raising parents at the same time as well. So we want to know, why do you think millennials feel burnt out at work? Because we just talked about, like, students, and how even though sometimes it is a moment of rebellion around, like, well, if you want me to send me home, then fine, I'm gonna go home. But that stress of being sent home for hair color or not having the right size blazer, like, that can lead to a sense of, feeling like, well, why am I here? Like, forget this, then I might as well just go do something else, because something as simple as my hair color is causing y'all to send me home. And although the kids today are not a part of the millennial generation, it kind of sets them up for these expectations that, are they even necessary?
I don't think they're necessary anymore.
So Jack, for your perspective, like, when you feel burnt out, why do you feel like you feel burnt out sometimes when you are working? Like, what's your reason? Like, what's one of your
We are
reasons?
literally trying to do everything in life. We are trying to hustle to create generational wealth. We are trying to heal from generational trauma. We are trying to exercise and look great so we feel great. We're literally trying to do it all, and then rest is at the end, because we have this thing. It's just like, oh, you can sleep when you're dead, and it's just like, wow, the way you're hustling and working and trying to do it all, you're cutting years off. Like, you need to take a break and catch yourself. We're just trying to do it all too much. Too much. We're picking up every hustle we can have. So some of us are back in school trying to further our education, to switch careers, to build a business, because you got people that are working and entrepreneurs all at the same time. That is so much at once.
Yep. And so what's interesting, so the article that we found was on bbc.com, and we will definitely share this with you all, because it definitely speaks to that hustle mentality that you just spoke about, Jack. Like, that whole idea of, trying to fix things from the past, or things that you didn't learn, or mistakes that someone else may have made that you now have to fix, but then also trying to set yourself and your future family up for success. And it's like this really interesting juggling act that you're doing, because on the one hand, it's like, all right, you got to fix what's broken before you can, create something great. But then creating something great takes a lot of energy. And so you find yourself oftentimes overworked. And that was one of the terms that they spoke about in the article, is like being overworked and like constantly going, and just feeling like that's the thing. And so I want to bring in this comment from Michael Anthony, Jack.
We have to work 2 to 3 times as much as previous generations to survive. It is so expensive to wake up in the morning.
Literally.
Like, the first thing you do is turn on your light, and it's just like, that's a bill to Terri.
Not to me specifically, but I do work at the place that does charge you for your electricity on the island. Yes. I'm a part of that group. But yes, literally, it's just some simple things that we do to get our days started. If you were to I want to say it was Bernie Mac in his show where Everybody Hates Chris. One of those shows where it was Everybody Hates Chris, because it was Terry Crews, the dad. Every little thing that they were turning on or doing in the home, like a little dollar amount will pop up and it'll say $2.99 for that, or $5 something for that. And it was just it was just kind of trying to show the child how expensive it is to live, for me as a parent to take care of you as a child. And that just came to mind when you mentioned how expensive it is to just wake up. Your morning routine, if you were to spend time and just sit and think about your morning routine, what it costs for you to actually engage in that morning routine, you might be like, you know what? Forget the morning. I don't want to be here anymore.
Like my tea alone in Bermuda that I drink every morning, for a box of, I think it's 10, it's $7.
$7
a box of tan is $7. That's crazy.
So you can't have tea every day, Jack, because because 10, you could have tea every 5 business days. I give you 2 weeks. So that means the weekends you can't have tea, and that means every 2 weeks you're spending $14 on tea, and that's if you only have 1 tea a day.
And I usually have 2 to 3.
You need to go back to work, Jack, because you need to get some more tea, because clearly.
All right, let me go.
So I want to bring in this comment from Michael Anthony. He says, don't breathe because it's expensive. Don't be hungry because $100 for half a bag of groceries. And I feel like like you mentioned, like to just survive, just having that in the back of your head, knowing that you have to work so hard to just give yourself a basic life. Like you're not even talking about a luxurious life where you're thriving and you're feeling like you're on Instagram and you post it for the gram and all that type of stuff. You're just trying to live, survive, and you're feeling like this is a lot to carry. Like that was the overwork for me was probably one of the easiest reasons to kind of associate with, because I'm like, yep. That is definitely one thing for us, like overwork.
Oh, easily. That was me last year. I learned my lesson. I take my breaks.
Yeah, and so one of the things too that because it's a panorama. A panoramic is the new way that I talk about Miss C coronavirus, and yes, Miss P. And one of the things, I've definitely been on the remote work train before the panorama, but with the introduction of not being able to go to certain places or the reduction of people interacting with each other, obviously remote work became very popular. With that popularity came like this inability to set and maintain really good work relationships or work-life balance, integration, or boundaries. And I feel like that is a really big one, because I really feel like the millennial generation doesn't have great boundaries before remote work. Like, I don't know about you, Jack, but I know for me, like I will set a boundary, and sometimes my boundaries are very weak, where it's like, okay, never mind. Like sometimes my boundary is I don't want to be up past 9, and then I'll be up on TikTok, in WhatsApp, talking to people, looking at random videos, and then it'd be 11 o'clock, and I'm like, you know what, sis?
You know what's crazy? The pandemic did the opposite for me. The pandemic actually made me set boundaries, because I spent so much time on my own that I was just like, I'm not tolerating this. Absolutely not. Not doing it. It kind of like, you know how they say, know your worth?
Yeah.
Right. So people be like, oh, you're going to lose friends like that. And I'm just like,
they weren't my friends in the first place.
That, like, if I have to change my ways and constantly say yes to you to keep you as a friend, then you're not a friend. You are a parasite. So that's fine. Ooh, that was rude.
I mean, no, it's honest. It's very honest.
That was harsh.
Yeah, and I guess for me, because I do appreciate and I tend to be that person, I'm like, that was not harsh at all. One of the things I can say, though, about what you were able to pick up from the panorama, which I am struggling with, is this idea of boundaries and them being okay to set. Because I do feel like, as the sandwich generation, like I say, you're either raising children and raising your parents, or you might be just raising your parents with the hope of raising children in the future. And so the boundaries that you try to set is difficult, because it's easier for people below you. Like, it's easier for you to set boundaries for people that either in your generation or possibly people that, answer to you in some way, shape, or form. But when you're trying to set the boundary with the older generation, it's a little different, because they were like, well, that's not how we used to do it when I was younger, or this is just how it is. So like the reasoning behind why the boundary doesn't exist or shouldn't exist, it's like, I get why you're saying that, but that's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for me.
Or they hit you with I would have done it for you, or I've done it for you. I'm just like, see, so you didn't do it out of,
Where's the love?
Love. You did it for the return. That's your loss. You shouldn't have done it for the return. You should have lower expectations.
You should have had lower expectations.
I said it helped me. It's still hard to say no sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I feel bad. Fine. You get 15 minutes. So I said it that way. And you guys have 7 minutes. Make the best of it. You got 30 seconds. Say what you gotta say. Bye.
I love that. I want to come to this comment from Sean Smith. He says, the cost of living is always the same no matter the time you grow up, because wages you earn relative to that time period. I was earning $3+ grats per hour as a busboy in my day. What I can say about that, though, the concept of inflation is probably one of my favorite in the econ space, because it's like this mysterious thing that really, do we really need inflation? Like, really? When we really think about it, did we really, like, did rent have to get so high that someone,
admittedly 1%.
me too, but that someone who had a decent job, like I feel like being a busboy at a certain age is a doable job. I feel like it can possibly sustain your lifetime if that's something that you're passionate about, that's something that you want to do. But I feel like it's gotten to the point where like people are doing way more in their roles and they're either not being compensated for it or they feel like they should be compensated more for it, but they don't have the courage to say it because of the generation that we are. Because millennials get this this description of being entitled, or you guys don't work as hard as we did. And we're just sitting here like,
we just know our worth.
Like, I'm sorry that you sent me off to school and I now know that I should be getting paid a certain number for all the work that I do. And I'm now asking for it, but because I don't have the work experience, because I was in school, by the way, I can't ask for that amount of money. It's like, okay. And I think the one other interesting topic from the article that is talking about why millennials are feeling burnt out is that they're depressed. And it's really interesting because if you're in a job that you love, that depression might not show up as much or as often. But if you're in a job that you don't like, it's probably easier to recognize the negative energy that you feel from work and, you know, all of the overwork that you're doing. If you're not setting proper boundaries and you can't maintain your work relationship and keep it separate from your home life, I could see depression being a really big thing. Like, I don't know if you've ever felt depressed, Jack, in your work, or if you've heard of people that have felt depressed.
I've heard of people that have felt depressed. I have one person in particular that loves what they do, but their boss is horrible and will do things like call at 7:30 in the morning and be like, why aren't you at work? And they're just like, oh, like, this is my morning ritual, meditation, this and stuff, you know, just to reset my mental health and stuff. And he's just like, your mental health needs to be sorted before 7:30 and you need to be at work.
But what time are they supposed to be at work?
9.
See, again, boundaries. Like, it's the lack of boundaries.
The person is trying to set boundaries and the boss is acting like they're a saint and super nice and doesn't understand what the situation is. So it's kind of like gaslighting. Yeah. And so they're fighting that situation because they actually love the company, the job, but it's just the boss is a donkey.
Doesn't really respect boundaries. And I think that's also another thing that millennials are probably dealing with as we wrap up, is like having those conversations with people that don't understand the importance or who don't care. Because it's one thing if you don't understand and we bring it to your attention and then you adjust. But if you say to me that I need to deal with all of my stuff before a certain time when I technically don't make work until another time, you've effectively told me that you don't care about me as a person, let alone me as your employee, which just, that doesn't bode well. I want to bring up this question from Tashelle, Jack.
Do you think social media and some feeling of the need to keep up appearances, new clothes, fancy vacations, etc., might cause overworking leading to burnout as well? Absolutely.
Jinx. I definitely think
that's what I'm saying. That's why the depression in our generation is so
I would say it's prevalent. It's way more prevalent.
It's because there's so many different things that are contributing to it. It's the workplace environment. It's the pressure of, I had a house at this age. I had a child before I was 35. Like, your parents also put in that expectation of what your life should look like on you. And then you're looking on social media and people are only showing you the good that's happening in their life, not the struggle. So it's not comparative and you feel like, wow, I'm behind the 8 ball. I need to be doing better. So you push. And you're just not getting that glory at the end of the road because the glory that you're reaching isn't even real for them.
Exactly. Jacky and I could legit talk about this as not only millennials, but as people who have experienced this, and we'll probably definitely continue this conversation in a future episode. We're going to take a quick commercial break and then we'll be back with our Feel Good Vibe of the day. So you do not want to go anywhere.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And before we get into our feel good vibe of the day, which is trivia time with Terri, I want to bring in two more comments. One from Karen Simmons, Jack, and then the other will be from Sean Smith.
The question you ask is like an onion, so many layers, and you must peel through all of that to understand why. Absolutely. That's why we talk about it so much, because it's never ending.
And we can never finish it in one episode because it's just not enough time. And then Sean Smith, Jack.
Were you ladies around when BTC used to charge 30 cents per minute from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and 15 cents per minute from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. for using your cell phone? I don't know, because if I wasn't paying my bill back then.
I was going to say, I don't remember the exact amount, but I do remember there were peak times for when you could use your phone and not when you could use your phone, like, the different times they would have different rates. I do remember that. I don't remember exactly what the cost was. I do remember.
Yes, we used to be like call after 7 or call after 6.
I'll call my husband. All right, Jack. So it's trivia time. I have 3 questions to ask you and the audience. Now, audience, if you do get to answer the question before Jackie, make sure you email us so that we can enter you into a draw. So today is a Guess Who, so I'm going to be giving you some celebrity fun facts, and all I need you to do is give me the answer to this. All right, so you got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Let's try this out. First one. He is known for his role in The Shawshank Redemption and Driving Miss Daisy. Who is he?
Can't help you.
I
need help. Oh my God. Can I say Denzel Washington? It's not, though.
You can absolutely say Denzel Washington, and it is not. But the audience didn't really get it either, so I don't know if they. Oh wait, someone did get it. Someone did get it. Boom.
It was. That's not the person I had in my head. I had it obviously couldn't be, but it was his the Bubba from Forrest Gump, but like he looked like his cousin.
Okay, and Sherry got it too. So yes, no. All right,
Sherry, you guys came too late to help me. Like I needed.
They definitely did.
Jamal got it, but Jamal's cheating somebody else's answer.
Stop it. All right, Jack. This person is known for their breakthrough role in the hit movie Glory, and later played a crooked police officer in their career. Who is he?
Is he black or white? Black. Glory. Can't help you.
The funniest
Denzel Washington.
I was like, the funniest.
I'm like crooked club, and I'm just like Denzel. He played it.
Yep. It definitely
I still beat it.
You did beat everyone. So last question as we wrap up. This person was discovered for a Coca-Cola commercial. He was on a bus singing Always Coca-Cola. Who is he? This one's a really hard one. I don't know if anyone's gonna get it, so I'm gonna give you a half to do. So
I can't concentrate.
I'm done, and it looks like Sherry got it. It was Tyrese.
Seriously, I never knew that about Tyrese.
I didn't know that either. You're welcome. Everyone else knew that but us.
Well, make sure you guys email, because you guys definitely beat me on the first 2.
Make sure y'all email us and let us send us your name, and we will be working towards getting you a gift, a prize for the holidays, or maybe in the new year. We don't know yet. We're still talking with the folks backstage. And on that note, we hope that today's Feel Good Vibe of the Day has you ready to make it a great one. Thank you so much for watching and engaging with us on this episode of Good Day Bermuda, which is supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we trust we'll see you tomorrow for another Feel Good conversation. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.